Let's go, Aaron.
Let's go. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. It's a pod mess. It's a pod mess. It is totally a pod mess. Anyone who's been listening, is there anyone out there?
That's
anyone
fun.
Who's been listening for any length of time knows this is a pod mess. What I'm interested in, the question that I'm wrestling with today. Oh, I'm going to take a diversion, Chris. I'm going south. Right away, going south, just not even getting in the car. I'm already chasing pigeons. Shit, I just lost the entire thought.
That's so funny. Welcome to the pod mess.
It is totally the pod mess. I entirely lost that entire thought. We were going to talk. So the thing I wanted to talk about was shifting your vibration, how to shift your vibration. What was that other thought? Damn it.
I don't know. Was it about community? Was it about?
No.
Was it about? I don't know.
All right. Well, let's go back to the original. We'll go that pigeon has flown. Shifting your vibration, the opportunity it is to shift your vibration and what it takes to do that. And, I woke up this morning. It's funny. I went to bed last night. My wife and I did our finances before in the evening, right? Before we watched the Love is Blind season finale, right? Which is just fabulous in every way. So instead, because it was so late in getting on, I don't know, did you watch it? You don't.
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay, good.
Yeah, we finished it.
All right, fine. So, it was really late in coming on. So we were sitting there like, oh God, do we have to be productive? We were all ready to stop being productive, but we've been putting off our finance, working on our budget and our finances forever. So we decided to do that. Oh, thank you, baby. Look, she just brought me tea. So we do our finances, and at the end of it, it was, we have the money we need to go do whatever. We're going on this tantric retreat coming up, and it's gonna be fabulous. And we got figured out the budget for that and where that money's coming from. And she's like, all right, well, do you see any money coming in April? And I said, I don't. Or in May. And I said, I don't. That's what I was saying. Is we, I need some more closings. And we went to bed on that, right? Which is like, that's what I've been saying. I need some more closings, like the threat of it, right? Mm-hmm. And then we didn't talk about, we're like, okay, whatever. And we turned our brains off and watched Love is Blind. Yeah, right. Which is just the complete mindlessness of that. And then I went to bed, and I had really weird dreams about, and I've started the practice of saying, this is an Esther Hicks practice but before I go to bed, I acknowledge, okay, my momentum is going to stop, and I feel really good right now. And I can expect to wake up inside this vibration. But I didn't. I woke up inside really sort of a threatened vibration. In fact, I had a dream during the night where I went back on staff with Landmark during the dream. And it wasn't a problem during the dream. It was a problem when I woke up. I was like, in the dream, it was fine. In the dream, it was like, okay, that's what I'm doing. Oh, good. Healthcare, excellent benefits.
Yeah.
But when I woke up, I was like, oh my gosh, it's never going to work. I can't, I woke up into that threatened space, and I was listening to Esther Hicks in the morning as I got ready for my day. And the thing that she was I just started getting myself in the presence of how to shift my vibration from that. And there were two really interesting thoughts that came up that I wanted to sort of wrestle with. One was, I can narrow my focus to something that feels good. I can just, what can I do right now that actually in this moment, the only moment we have, feel good, and I'm in the middle of a pancha karma, which is a cleansing, fast 2-week process that my wife runs. So you do a little oil massage in the morning, give yourself an oil massage, self massage, right? And I was like, well, this oil feels really good on my skin. That feels good, and that's Esther Hicks's whole thing, is what feels good, and I was like, all right, well, I can do that. I can act. And it's just about focusing on in the present moment, because any of the fear and the threat of the future, things not working out, anything I'm worried about is a future-based phenomenon. No one's worried about things that happened in the past. except for how they impact your future.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could be embarrassed because you were an idiot and you said something stupid at the party last night, but still, if there were no future, you wouldn't be embarrassed by that. It's just a function of what it's going to mean next time you see that person or whatever.
Right.
So if I can control my thoughts to not wander down that road, I can focus on feeling good right now in this massage, and I can just be there. And then I can build on that. And then I can build on what else feels good. And then I can begin to shift my focus to bigger, like I didn't, this thing about our finances was just really big because that's always the sort of the bottom line for me. And, I was talking about it with Kale in the morning, and she's like, yeah, you're not focusing on the fact that we have more than enough money to pay for this entire retreat, right? The money you have coming in is coming in at the exact right time for us to pay, it's like a $5,000 expense, right? Travel and room and board and everything. And we have all the money to do it. We can actually work it out to do this. You could focus on that. You could focus on, that it's always work, like on and on and on. I can go back and look at all these things to focus on.
Wow.
But so the thing about narrowing the focus to begin with was new for me. It was like, okay, I do have control over my focus. And I think that's a practice, for us, is to practice bringing into focus what we want and what feels good and what resonates and what's a high vibration right now. So that was one piece, was just narrowing the focus. And then the other piece was, and this is a question I'm sort of wrestling with, this is inside that, is without being, without toxic positivity creeping in, like, I'm only going to focus on things that make me feel good, right? How are you? I'm fine. I'm great. Why? Because I'm not going to tell you how fucked up I am. I'm just going to tell you I'm great, right? That kind of toxic positivity, where everything's okay, everything's all the time, right? That world of nonsense that we do is about, I think, and this is just a discovery and something I'm wrestling with, not a truth. I think that's avoiding or resisting feeling bad, or things I don't want, what I woke up into, rather than celebrating the fact that I found something I don't want, which then gives me the opportunity to turn, I don't want that. That's what I don't want.
Yeah.
That. I'm not saying that's not there.
Right.
I'm acknowledging it, and I'm celebrating the fact that I am such a good receptor of how I feel, perceptive of how I feel, that I know that doesn't give me what I want. So I'm intentionally turning over this way.
Yeah.
And I'm focusing over here, not pretending that doesn't exist, but just actually acknowledging that doesn't want, that's something over there that's giving me access to look over here. But I wouldn't be looking over here if I didn't first look over there. It's the contrast, as Esther would say. So anyway, I'm just in that. It's all that stuff's all sort of new discovery thinking for me. And that's what I thought we could riff on. What do you hear in any of that?
Yeah, I love that. I've had that thought recently, even the
what's my mug say?
I can't even see it.
Never half-ass things. Never half-ass two. What does it say? Never half-ass two things, whole ass one thing.
Nice.
There we go.
Nice. That's a focus meme. It's all about
that is a focus meme. That is a total focus meme. That's a focus mug right there. Never half-ass two things. Whole ass one thing. All right, fine.
Yeah, no. So my thought on I've been thinking about toxic positivity versus affirmations or saying what you want. And I like how I haven't heard it the way you said it. I like it because it makes me think of the idea that toxic positivity would be being positive because I'm trying to avoid a bad feeling. It's like having an affirmation when you don't believe the affirmation. You're like, I'm great, but really you think you're a piece of shit. So it doesn't actually give you the intended result. You can be positive and focus, but if you don't believe it, then it doesn't actually do the work for you. And it actually gets, and I maybe the toxicity is how that interacts with others. I suppose you could make a case for how you being positive as an avoidance tactic could be toxic to yourself. But I think people tend to talk about toxic positivity in the context of interacting with each other. Like,
Yeah.
dude, you're just so positive that you don't allow for any room to be anything other than happy all the time. And it gets on me, and I don't want to be around you. It's just toxic to me. But I think that, I think people can tell when it feels like something you're trying to use to cover something up versus something that it just feels true to you, that the joy or the happiness is a truth for you rather than a cover up.
Or even some, oh, good. So then my question is, and this is also something to wrestle with, is the believing piece, right? Like there's this world in which, you fake it till you make it, in which you are creating it, but you're not. See, I think the thing you're pointing to about it is, I'll just go, this is what we'd say, from the landmark perspective of the thing, but it's, that's icing on a mud pie. There's really shit going on. You do in fact believe, or or it is a fact for you that, I'm going to live under a bridge. I'm going to lose all my money and never do another deal. And, oh no, the world's really falling apart. And on top of that, I'm going to put on that mud pie some icing, right? I'm going to put icing on a mud pie and then pretend that that's a cake.
Yeah.
As opposed to, wait a minute, actually doing the work with that belief first, first belief, there's nothing wrong with inventing yourself or creating, whether or not you believe this yet, but this is what I'm creating myself as, but at least acknowledging that this one over here, this negative belief, is in fact the same belief. One of my coaches just said to me, doubt the doubt. Doubt is just belief in the wrong direction, is what she said. That if you doubt yourself, this came up inside my the work I'm doing for myself about being a unique contribution that melds heart and head together.
Yeah.
There's I don't believe that I'm not that I am that, right? I haven't been that I am that unique contribution that brings the heart and head together. Although I have evidence and I have people and you and this whole podcast and everything we've been doing is exactly fucking that. Right. The world of being responsible for being that. Did we talk about, we've talked about being responsible a ton, but the world of being responsible for being that is not yet I'm a Mets fan. I don't fuck around with it. I'm a Seahawks fan. I'm a 12. I'm flat footed. It's not even a thing for me. I'm Jewish. I'm flat about that. There are things I believe, that are not based in fact in any way, but that I identify as it's the truth.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm putting on the jacket of being a unique contribution that melds heart and head in the world.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm putting on that jacket. Like it's not who I am, but it's a jacket I'm willing to put on.
Yeah.
And I think the necessity there is that you've got to at least acknowledge that the thing you're laying that jacket on top of, the doubt is not true. It's equally not true. It's as not true as the belief, as the positive belief. The negative belief is equally, it being authentic about your inauthenticity. You're equally inauthentic. Either way, you're making it up.
Yeah.
Making up your piece of shit. Right. So there's something about believing it I don't know that that's the right word, because I don't know that I necessarily believe this yet, or even that it's important to believe it.
Yeah.
It's, what are you willing to stand for? You get to keep all the limitations you argue for, right? We've said that before, right? If you think you're a piece of shit and you keep talking about it, but it doesn't, the toxic positivity part, what comes in when you see something, you say to yourself, that's effed up. I don't know why all of a sudden I'm using F. But
I know. Way to clean it up, Aaron.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Can't just do it all the time. Uh, that's effed up, but I'm going to pretend it's okay. That's the toxic part is I know that's wrong, but I'm going to pretend it's okay. Yeah. No, that's the toxic part. The toxic part is that part that you're saying is effed up isn't really effed up. It's not true.
That's good, man. Because I can see where that's toxic for me, like as the one who does that. So if I think about, I'm a really good chameleon. Like I'm a Pisces and I'm also a high ISD personality. I know how to fit different crowds. And so I can be who I need to be in public for acceptance, not rejection. But I also notice a lot of things. I'm a highly sensitive soul. I'm very perceptive. I take on a lot. I notice a lot and I don't say anything about it. And so what I do is I reserve my observations and my judgments to myself and wrestle with that. And then I, in public, show up and everything is fine because that's how I'm going to be. And that's not even me being toxically positive to others, because I know how to rein that in so that I don't get judged as toxically positive, right? But to me, I end up with this mind fuck of, wait, am I upset or am I happy? Like I see me behaving in both ways, and I'm like, there's this thing I'm wrestling with about the thing I notice, whatever that is, somebody's behavior, the way they treat me, or the results I think I deserve but don't have yet.
That I used to be really late to these calls. But that was one of those things.
Okay, fair enough.
But wasn't it?
I don't think I let that fester as much, but okay. I think I was pretty constructive with.
It was totally constructive. I completely handled it.
In which case it wasn't toxic to me, but in the past I might have carried somebody being late to things.
Right. But it was toxic to you until you said something about it.
Yeah, because sure. Okay, that's fair. Because I can see
until you did, because you were, it wasn't like you were like, oh my God, he's so upset. But you were like, it had lived for, it wasn't like I was late once and you just cleaned it up. You lived with me doing that for, I don't know, a month at least, something, right? A couple of more than a couple times.
And that's the part where I think we wrestle with let's just keep using that example. It's great. So
because it really happened. It happened to us.
I love you so much. And so my experience of you on one hand is like, you're a fucking rock star. And I'm so honored that we get to do this work together. And then I have this other feeling that creeps in. That's like, why doesn't he take this as seriously as me? Like, does he think this isn't real? Like what, like, or what, like, and so then this is where you start to, so we will go back to where you started this whole episode. My ability to focus in the moment about what feels good is hard to focus on, because I'm like, I don't know which one to pick. Which one do I create? Do I just create Aaron as all the great things and ignore the fact that I feel dissed or second best to something? Or, you know what I mean? Or do I say something and then risk that going wrong? Because anyway, so that's where I think that can get toxic to ourselves if we just pretend everything's fine and put on a happy face and then ignore our experience, how something feels in the moment.
It's great. And all you had to do was say something about it, right? I mean, it was, but that was it. Yeah. I mean, I think toxic positivity is a lot like, it is a passive aggressive posture.
Sure.
To life, right? And it's like that. But I do think that's is that everything you wanted to say? Because I feel like I may have derailed.
No. I think the only other thing that was in my space about it was just then, because that was the example of toxic positivity as it affects me. We didn't really get to.
Well, do you see that
toxic?
You said you were able to rein it in for yourself. I'm more like toxic negativity, like the thing I've got to respect. But really, it's I make hay with being a old New York curmudgeon and fuck you, this is never going to work and and it's a lot. It's a total liability and something I'm out to manage the automaticity of being an automatic no and an automatic that curmudgeon-y and I have you know, it's a very punk rock. It's a very old school, like, you know, don't get caught, you know, showing your emotions. That's one of the things that I'm actually out to heal is doing the work to heal what, you know, some past traumas around being really open-hearted. And I know that it's in the way of that heart mind,
Yeah.
you know, my owning that, being responsible for being that unique contribution.
Yeah.
You know, that's work that I'm doing
Right.
to do that. That's definitely toxic negativity having, you know, out there, you know, the first sort of.
Yeah. I love that. That takes just as much creation or belief one way or the other, the doubt versus the other, you know, one way or the other to, yeah, I totally get that. I remember in high school, I was a freshman. My mom paid me to go to a camp called Camp Odyssey. And I think its nickname was like Rainbow Boot Camp. And so it was this ecumenical, you know, experience for a week where it's kind of like outdoor camp where you go, you stay in cabins and stuff. And there was a racism day, there was a sexism day, and there was a homophobia day. And there was all of this stuff where like,
Got to define ecumenical. Cause
yeah, my understanding of that is like, it's not any one faith. It's all beliefs coming together. It transcends dogma of sorts. And so I think I said that because I think it was created under a ministry. It was an ecumenical ministry, I don't know. Anyway, that was probably just from the program that created the camp. But like, I remember on racism day, so we had all the African Americans in a group and the Asians in a group and the whites in a group. And so we would go around and one group would sit in front of the other group, and that group could say whatever they wanted to say to the group. And there was this practice of listening to what it is, the experience of what it is to be in that. And I remember listening, and then I remember sharing something, and I don't remember what I said, but the energy that I completely remember was toxic positivity. It was me talking over their lived experience of what it is to be a person of color. And I was like, oh, well, here's what I hear, and this is what I think. And it was like this over the top, like everything's fine and it's going to be great. And so I think in that way, I can really, I can feel what it feels like to be toxically positive, because I've done that plenty of times in my life where it made me unapproachable. It was hard for people to want to share with me because my only answer was ever something positive in the face of something they were experiencing that wasn't great for them.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm just relating to my own experience of what the outward, not just toxically positive to me when I do that, but to other people, what that feels like.
Yeah, good. And so that's one thread of this, is knowing the difference between. It's good that you brought up the racism thing too, I think. I mean, on one hand, because, you know, that ability to be with what is uncomfortable for you, and acknowledge that it's uncomfortable for you, and that you know, but without making it personal to you, you know, just noticing that I mean, it just to complete the thought, thought I had about the racism piece is, you know, I mean, that's the whole problem people seem to have with critical race theory, is that they hear that, and white fragility in general is a function of not being able to be with the discomfort of things that happen to people of color at the hands of white people, and somehow having that be a personal phenomenon or an invalidation or an attack, to somehow say that because, I mean, so white people enslaved black people in this country for 400 years. It's not like some, oh, how'd that happen? Right. I mean, to the Americas, not necessarily this country, but to this part of the world. And, to somehow say that that's invalidating me, that's making me responsible for that personally is, and so therefore you can't teach it in the schools. That's what happened is crazy. It's like, okay, that's what happened. And yeah, white people did that to black people, and that we did that. And there's been repercussions of that, but you got to be, if you can't look at the negative in the eye and go, yeah, that's me, I did that. Not I personally did that, but that happened to you. And I can hear that happened to you at the hands of people like me. That something to be responsible for. It's nothing to hide about. It's not an accusation like you personally did it. No one's saying you personally did it,
right?
By saying that it happened. And I think there's that level of, there's a connection there. I don't know that it's analogous, but certainly there's a connection between that and being with any sort of discomfort, and being, and the thing about personal responsibility isn't you did it, who's to blame. It's that you could do something about it going forward. It's not looking to the past to look to who's to blame. It's looking to the future to say, okay, what can I be responsible? What can I do about this going forward? Because nothing happens to me. I refuse to be the victim of this. So, the thing with not having money, deals in my pipeline to cover whatever. There's a victim like mentality, which is, okay, well, the interest rates and the market and 30% less buyers and blah, 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 like that, right? The victim mentality about the thing, which is sort of obvious on the surface, and everyone can get that, versus, okay, now what do I need to do? What could I do going forward? Is there any future in which I have where I couldn't be responsible for that? No. All right. So there's just not any future where it's not going to work out for me. So I don't have to make up being a victim about it. I can make up something else about it. Like I can make up a future in which, okay, well, here are the next set of actions I'm going to take, and see what these actions do.
Wow. I just want to,
sorry. Go ahead.
I just want to point to the like if I tie it back again to the beginning of this, how do you shift your vibration? And then what are you focusing on? Like that there's that part of that is the being responsible, like that, to be responsible for your vibration, to be responsible in this moment, not the past and not the future, whether we're talking about race or we're talking about, your career, your vision, whatever it is, whatever your relationships, that there is but one of the things I love about Esther Hicks, Abraham Hicks is, and the places that I feel very empowered is when I start to get responsible for my vibration, like that I am not a reaction to my circumstance, but that I can actually influence my circumstance by the context in which I hold it.
100%. 100%. And your willingness to not, and then just to tie it back in, and so we'll probably wrap it up with that, but to not invalidate the negative vibration or what you don't want, but to celebrate it and go, that is great. My receptors are working. I am a receptor of vibration on this planet. And that is a vibration that I do not appreciate. That is in the column of things I do not want more of.
Right.
Excellent. Put that over there in that bucket. Excellent. So now, given that that's that vibration, what's over here that I do want, that I can put my attention on, that I can focus on? Not that didn't happen, or that there's something to hide about that or be ashamed about that, but that's more of that. Focusing on that's not going to make less of it. Oh my God, the best thing I heard about from Esther Hicks this week was the universe is not your mother. If you fall down and hurt yourself and you feel bad, your mother's going to come by and do what? She's going to go, oh, baby, come here. Let me make you feel better. Universe is not going to do that. Universe sees you feeling bad. Universe goes, oh, that's the vibration. You get more of that. You get more of what you're looking at.
Yeah.
And that, so to actually look for the negative, to look for it so that you can put it over there with what you don't want is important. That's important work, is to dig up. Okay, that's more of what I don't want. Get it to the surface. Don't bury it under positivity. Don't whitewash it. Oh, that's a terrible pun for the racism part, but don't whitewash it. Pretend it didn't happen or pretend it's not there. Like, no, it is there. That's what there is over there. Now, what are we going to do about that? We're going to say that's what's there. And here's now what we're doing. This is what I'm going to put my attention on. And this has a higher vibration. It's not about hiding that. It's about acknowledging it and then focusing on something else. But you got to acknowledge that it exists, or it's just icing on mud.
Exactly.
Oh, and look at that. There's our time.
There we are. So
There's our time. And it's a little therapy session for us today.
Yeah, that was super good.
Every week.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for
you bring us out.
All right, gang, if you want to learn more about, I mean, these are the kind of conversations that we would have, like, that we like to explore in the RePurpose community, with agents who are looking to have conversations beyond GCI, right? Like, what is your life for? And when you have that, you start to go, how do I focus my energy into the things I want my life to be for? And these very things are the things that can steal that attention away from, your life is for. So if you'd like to learn more about the community, you can go to repurpose.group/invite. And that's it. Until next time, Aaron, thanks.
Party on, people.